listings. We have a lot more new listings that came in this week as well. So I'm sure that all of you can jump on your MLS and take a look at those, but it's always fun to showcase all the great new listings that we brought in for the last week. So thank you, Ryan DeCoit-Chalk, for handling that for us. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Live from Western New York, the Buffalo and Rochester markets. Again, we're excited to be with you this morning on this chilly December morning in the midst of a lot of holiday celebrations. And we're happy to spend this time with you, a few minutes to chat about our local market here and introduce some of our new agents, introduce our leadership, and just kind of stay connected with you from week to week. This is not to replace a sales meeting, but a lot of good information that you can share within your offices during the coming week. Thank you, Lisa Avery, for your production of this, this little podcast. So let's move on to the next slide, please. And we have our leadership team, of course. And this morning, Lou Alimo is going to be our co-host. And of course, Ken from First Priority Mortgage will add his information as it relates to financing. But welcome to all of you from the leadership team, including Matt and Kathy and myself. We have some new agents who've joined us this week, and the ones that are bolded joined us this week. The rest have joined us over the past month. So welcome to Jennifer from the Pittsford office, Neil from Grand Island. I had the pleasure of meeting Neil at a Board of Realtors event yesterday. Alec Rice from Geneseo and Max Speranza from Henrietta. So welcome to all of the new agents who have joined us, and we have high hopes for you, as I'm sure you do as well, for 2023. So let's get on with our program for the day. And I just want to chat with you. Someone approached me yesterday at the Realtor event that we had, a little holiday event. And they said, gee, we were on your Live from Western New York the last couple of weeks, and we heard you talk about the market and what's happening with the market, and taking data into consideration and taking some a local spin on what's happening as opposed to what we're reading nationally, what's happening. And I know Ken's going to talk about the rates when he's on, but I talked about what kind of a market we're going to have in 2023. And a lot of the discussion that we've been having regarding market is to help you as you plan your year and as you, as you plan your holiday events and you're in front of people, some good dialogue for you to share with your sphere of influence, for you to share with your friends and your family as you gather and they ask what's happening in the real estate market. And I made a comment that based on the data, based on the inventory, most experts define a buyer's market. They define a buyer's market as a 6-month inventory of homes for sale. That kind of shifts, and the pendulum shifts from being a seller's market, and it starts to shift over to a buyer's market based on inventory, which makes it's very logical to me that supply and demand will dictate, what's happening in the market. You have a glut of inventory, as we did many years ago. We had an 18, month glut of inventory. And what happened? People were offering bonuses. People were offering incentives to buyers, to agents. And so this week in our local papers, another one of our competitors was quoted as saying 2023 is going to be a strong buyer's market. And you sit back and you look at that and say, wait, we heard this, we heard this. It's so conflicting, but I always defer to the data. So I guess my points for you would be know your market, know what's happening in the area that your primary market, the area you're working in. Share the data with both your buyers and your sellers so they can make an informed decision on pricing, because that is of utmost importance right now. and control the expectation. You know, when you sit with your buyers, and every week you've been hearing, Kathy talked about it, Lou's going to talk about it, but we're encouraging all of you to get in front of, you know, your buyers, especially, I mean, we're already in front of the seller, to explain what's happening in the market, to talk about, you know, the market, and talk about expectations so that they can better understand, you know, what's happening out there. But, you know, I would have to disagree with our competitor in the market who's saying it's going to be a buyer's market next year, because we certainly haven't gotten to the point where, you know, the supply exceeds the demand. So I hope that's helpful for you. And, you know, I was asked to speak about that specifically because people were confused when they heard, you know, loud and clear our competitor talking about, you know, what to expect. And that's what the consumers are reading. So it's important for us to sit, to share the data. And, you know, every market's a little bit different. Every price range is a little bit different, and every community is a little bit different. So that's why we as the realtor play such a significant role in, you know, in controlling the expectations so that we can share the data. And one last point before I turn it over to this week's co-host, one last point is that, you know, you need to go in there and you need to really be aware of the market before you sit and you counsel someone on what's happening in the market. So take this time to really get to know what's happening with inventory, you know, which is why we scroll through, you know, some of the listings, and reach out to people who are in the markets, you know, that you're going into, if it's not your primary market, to get, you know, some additional assistance. So I hope that's helpful. And I'd like to now introduce Lou Alimo, who's going to talk about you and how to market you, especially right now going into the new year as we prepare business planning. And I would like to, and Kathy Bianchi just put in the chat, absolutely a more balanced market for 2023 at best. So thank you for that input, Kathy, as well. So Lou, you have the floor.
Well, good morning, Charlene. Good morning, everyone. And I just want to give kudos to Charlene on that, because she's exactly right. I mean, our market is different in every region, right? And I think a couple of weeks back, I had a slide that showed what's been going on for the last 5 years. And the decrease in inventory. So, you know, next year, in my opinion, is going to be that, you know, we still have to get the inventory up for it to become any type of really shift of a buyer's market. And that's not going to happen overnight. But as Kathy said, if we can get to a balanced market based on, you know, getting ourselves out there and marketing ourselves more. So this morning, we're going to talk a little bit more about marketing you. So just some basics. So I wanted to start out this morning by talking a little bit about sphere of influence. And what we're going to do is we're going to poll you. Okay, our first poll of our Western Live from Western New York, and Lisa's going to send out a poll where here it is. And, you know, a couple questions that we have. One is how many, okay, how many people are in your sphere of influence? Okay, and there you go with the amount that we're looking for, just to give you an idea. And our second question is going to be, how often do you reach out to your sphere? So as we get through these two poll questions, I just want to make sure that everybody understands the difference between where your sphere comes from. So, and again, as we get through this, I'm going to touch base a little bit on our quote. And the quote of the week is: the most important asset you can own in your business is the attention of your customer. If you don't own it, someone else does. So when you think about what that says to us, is what is our follow-up and what is our follow-through, okay? And I think when we look at it from that standpoint, we want to make sure that we understand the business that we're in and why we do the things we do. And I think marketing yourself is a very important part of the business. Can we go to the next slide while we're polling, Lisa? Okay. So when we look at your sphere versus your sphere of influence, We all know people, correct? But who are these people? You know, your sphere of influence are people that you know personally, you have done business with, or know what kind of person you are. These are the people that will refer you because they see value in you and trust that you'll do a good job. So they also feel good about referring you. So these are the people that you want to touch at least once a month, okay, as an example. So why do you want to touch these people once a month? Because this is where 60% of your business will come from. This group needs to be more thought and there needs to be more thought and consideration in your marketing efforts with your sphere of influence. Because again, your sphere of influence is going to be people that are going to refer you. So why wouldn't you want to touch base with them more? Lisa, next slide. So your sphere. So your sphere are people that know you. They know of you. These are the people that see you out and about. Maybe you meet them at the market, the supermarket, or a gas station, or a public area. They may see your name tag on. These are people that you want to start to pick up as your sphere of influence. So these are the people that you try to get on some type of email campaign, or somebody that you can get a phone number from, or somebody that you can get more information to. So that's where 40% of your business is going to come from. So out of 100% of your business, 60% is going to come from people that know you, like you, trust you, and will refer you. And now you start to think about how you're going to get the other 40%. Okay. And these are these people. And how do you capture these people? So we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas of the basics for personal promotion. Lisa, if you can hang out to the next slide. So I think the basics in all of it is just the mere fact of understanding that, you know, you have to set a budget for yourself. Now, you know, the basic budget for any agent should be at least 10% of whatever you're going to be making, or you are making. Let's say you're an existing agent that's making X amount of dollars. I think that's a great starting point. And I think that you have to understand that real estate is all about the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it, right? So as a basic standard, you're looking at, if you want to make 50K in this business, then you got a budget for at least 5K and some type of marketing for yourself, right? And some of the basic things that you can do is start off the year by sending a calendar out to your SOI. Okay, this is again, your sphere of influence, people that know you, have referred you, okay, that trust you, okay? Those should be sent out right around that November, December time of every year. That's one basic thing. A monthly newsletter to your sphere of influence, okay? You can do that in a letter, or you can do that in an email, okay? A monthly postcard to your sphere of influence, holidays or something funny, a monthly mailing to your SOI, your CRM campaign. We've talked about this previously. I mean, you know, not knowing, but taking a look and see of how long they've been in the home. If they've been in the home for let's say 3 to 5 years, then you can start that campaign of sending those out, and then maybe just following up and calling and saying, hey, I just wanted to check in with you. How's the family? What's going on? Did you get my mailing? Did you get my, you know, my CRM of your CMA of the property? Things along those lines that you can do. Okay. You should always do some type of daily post on social media, on a personal and business page. We have now the agent icon, which is, I think, is a fantastic tool that's offered to you. So you can do some of those things, you know, and always, you know, look, you always want to, and you want to try to create at least 2 events, okay, per year. So as a basic, you want to have something that you do. Now, a lot of the offices in Rochester did a pie giveaway, right, for their clients. So ultimately, when you look at that, you know, it's not costing you anything other than the pie. Some of the bigger teams, bigger agents will do off-site events. But you can also do something on the internet as well, and you can do some type of giveaway, like let's say a snowman contest per se, that would be good for you to create some atmosphere and some activity socially. So, and again, having your clients send pictures of the best snowman, doing some type of raffle for it, creating some type of excitement. You know, basically, for what I was looking at for just having some personal promotion and marketing yourself. Those are just some of the basic things to do. Now, we have some additional marketing ideas that we can do as well, is you could create a large event if you wanted to. I know one of our Rochester agents this year, and does it frequently every year, he does a turkey giveaway. He buys turkeys, he buys about 125, has his sphere come down. He has close to almost 200 people come and just, he puts some food out, and it's a way to give back to your sphere of influence. You can do something on a wine tour or a movie theater event. You can do a lot of different things. We also had an office, couple of offices do Visit with Santa. You're utilizing the office. You're utilizing the office that you have that can benefit you. You have to be, into what's going on in your community. So also a pumpkin fest you can do. You can get a cabin or a lodge, and ultimately have your community or your sphere, open to the public. Interviewing or highlighting neighborhood businesses. I mean, that's a big one. I mean, if you have somebody that you're frequenting, you can kind of help highlight their business. And then again, that gets you more in the limelight of your sphere and your sphere of influence as well. Pop-by events, I know we've talked about those any time of the year. The key to the pop-ups are either calling the client and letting them know, or dropping something off and following up with them. It's just not going by and putting like door hangers on. You want to do this to people that know you. Again, you can host an ice cream truck in your neighborhood during the summer. Again, look at what this costs you based on where your budget is. The bigger your budget, the more you can spend. But these are all ways to market yourself. You can create raffles at your open house monthly, so that so people, the sphere that you're trying to pick up is continuously coming to your open houses, whether they're looking for that type of house or a different type of house. They're now becoming your sphere of influence. They're people that are getting to know you, like you, and not if they're going to buy something right now, but they may refer their aunt, their uncle, their cousin, their brother, their sister, somebody as well. And that's really what you want to pick up. You can find trade shows to work and sponsor, weekend office events. I can't believe that agents are not doing more of this in their offices, not having some type of buyer or seller program that they can have a seminar and have a sign out front. We've got some really nice, beautiful offices that are empty on the weekends. I mean, why wouldn't you just put a sign up for a couple hours, post it on social media, and guess what? If somebody pops by, a seller or a buyer, you've just picked up an opportunity. Those are very low cost programs. And then, as I said before, send out a yearly CMA to your clients who have their homes for more than 3 years, just to find out. I had talked with one of my managers this past week, and that was one thing that, she had talked to her team about as far as doing more of that. And again, it sparks the interest of the client to know what their house is worth. It's not to say that they're going to sell their house at that point in that time, but it's definitely something there that they're going to want to know. Lisa, next slide.
That's the last one, Lou. So I thought maybe we'd take a look at the poll results.
Perfect. How do we look?
We look pretty good. It's very impressed with the number of people that have more than 100 in their sphere of influence. 20, 40, 80% of you have more than 100 people in your sphere of influence. So that's fantastic. And again, if we look at 87 are doing it multiple times a year. So a good portion once a month, and 61% reaching out quarterly. So I think those are some pretty strong results.
That's great. And I think that's all I have for right now. I think we're going to spin it over to Ken Winowski, the one and only.
Thank you, Lou. This is great information. I want to thank Charlene and thank Lou. This is such important things to consider going into 2023. I just have a couple of things, and I wanted to recap some of the things that I've been talking about inflation-friendly news that comes out in the financial data that's being reported. And if I took a poll right now, I would probably guess the majority. If I called both of my kids right now and it said, "Hey, do you think rates are going up?" They'd say, "Yeah, I heard rates are going up." So the first slide I have, I use this really bad analogy of, this is Marv from Home Alone 2. Now, Home Alone 2 was one of the great real estate movies. They're the uncle was flipping this house in New York City. This was a lot of loan originators and buyers face when rates went to 7.25. But this is also Harry when he got to, or Marv when he got to the top of the stairs and he said, "Harry, I've reached the top." And on November 10th, I shared this with the Rochester and Buffalo managers. They're tired of hearing this and seeing this slide, but I love it because on November 10th, I said, I think what's happening is going to start working. And if you look at the 10-year treasury on the 9th, because we had an early morning meeting in Batavia, it was 4.17%. On 12/7, less than a month later, it was 3.42%. So that's 75 basis points out there. What it really, it doesn't exactly mean that every rate went down. The 10-year treasury yield is one of the yields that, mortgage-backed securities, they all kind of work in line with certain yields. But as you can see, and I could be wrong, and rates, the Fed could raise rates again, but is this 10-year treasury going to go to 4.25, 4.5? My personal opinion, I don't really see it because the bond market is feeling better about the financial news that's out there. We recently refreshed a program. It's a 2-1 buy down where the seller can pay a buy down for the borrower. So if rates are in the 6s, you could start in the first year at 4%, go to 5%, go to 6% in the 3rd through the 30th year. We also see competition on TV that will refinance your mortgage. We'll do the same thing. We've been doing that for the 34 years that I've been in the business. Do we need a flyer on that? We need to be the trusted advisor. Have your customers talk to our mortgage consultants. Every person is specific. They have their own specific needs. There are hundreds of mortgage programs. We want to find the best one for you. When we talk about market and what the market is, and your mindset is going to create your market. Salespeople create their own economies. The economy doesn't create the salespeople's economy. So you want to have the best year in 2023, start it today. That's my message. Go Bills. I'm going to send it back to Charlene.
Thank you, Ken. That was great information. Have you thawed out from the Bills game yesterday? I know you are a season ticket holder, Ken. It looked a little chilly there.
It wasn't so chilly as soon as you get there at 11:30, everything turned to rain. I couldn't see in my glasses. And once we got, you got out of the car, you put all your stuff on, then you were kind of okay. And actually the second half, it was a little bit snow, but comfortable. We were fine.
And walking out of there with the wind, I'm sure everyone was nice and warmed by that, right?
Yeah, I was even nice to the Jets fans. So yes.
Well, thank you for that. And here is, we talked about Agent Icon. Lou just mentioned it. And the daily graphics are great. I know so many agents who, they don't necessarily post anything professional on their social media. And it's usually because they don't know what to post. And so I was absolutely thrilled when Howard Hanna came out with this great Agent Icon program. And there's some wonderful graphics that you can just click on, and there you go. Before you start setting goals for the next year, reflect on all you've accomplished this year. I think that's an absolutely great graphic, very positive, very upbeat. And so please take the time that if you're not familiar with it, that maybe that could be one of the things that you set as a goal for next year. To take these couple of weeks, the remainder of December, to learn a little bit more about Agent Icon. And if you need help, your branch managers are more than happy to share with you how to make this work. Thank you so much, Lisa. And I wanted to just take a moment to say thank you to Chuck as well for jumping on this morning and leading us through the listings in the beginning. So for those of you who weren't on, for the first 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, we usually scroll new listings. And Chuck was so helpful in, guiding us through that today. And Lou had some great information. And I just want to say, I remember David Knox, who many of you may remember, national trainer. And David always said, and I love this quote, you don't have to be good, you just have to be there. And so people always say, how did that person get that listing? How did that person? It's top of mind awareness. And you have to do your best as you plan your strategies for, 2023. And you take a look at, the poll that we have, how frequently you're staying in touch with people. Just remember to top of mind awareness for them, stay in front of them as much as you possibly can. And we have so many great campaigns to help you to do that. So take full advantage of all of that. For education, we have a few things to wrap up the year, but coming January 4th, a cool, drop-in open forum, positive discussions, and there's going to be much more information coming on additional training. The one on cybersecurity, you should really make the time. It's tomorrow. Protect yourself, your business, and your clients, and it's via Zoom. So I would jump on that in a heartbeat. I mean, we all are concerned with safety, especially on the internet. So great information. And thank you to Ken as well for always timely information, because as you know, we need to be aware of what's happening, because that's going to be the first question that people have when we gather for the holidays. What's happening with rates? What's happening with real estate? They love to talk about it. So good information in the chat as well. And I think that our next slide is to share with you that next week, we will have our last episode for the year, because we're not planning on having an episode the day after Christmas or the day after New Year's. So stay tuned for future 2023, but please jump on next week. And also thanks again to all of our leadership. And I wish you all happy holidays, but we'll see you next week for a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us live from Western New York. I'm Charlene Zarate. Take care.
Have a good week,
Great week,
everyone.
guys.
Week.